Welcome to everybody. We're happy we are all gathered here to learn together, to progress together. We have been reading from the book Talks on the Gita by Vinobha Bhave, and we are on page 315. Now, Sri Vinobha Bhave talks a little bit more about bhakti. Sorry, I was having some computer issue. So, I wanted to share a few thoughts on this bhakti, which we have talked a lot about in these past sessions. The foundation for bhakti is in our inner transformation. Without this essential inner transformation, the true state of devotion cannot develop in us. Without us changing inside, true state of devotion cannot develop. So if we want to understand what is bhakti or divine love, it is not a merely an emotional attachment. It is what we used to have with our previous masters. We were all very emotionally attached. By Daji's guidance, we are all changing with the correct thinking and right understanding. So now we are able to understand that bhakti or divine love is not an emotional attachment. It is the awakening of our soul's deepest purity and love for the divine. The soul has purity in itself, but it is dormant. Soul has love for the divine, but it is dormant. That needs to be awakened in each one of us to arrive at this state of true devotion. So, the essence of devotion centers on two concepts. One is purity of the heart, and this transcendental nature of this divine love. We move from first in the beginning, it is just an attachment, it is a feeling of lust with love, and then it moves to bhakti. So, the most crucial requirement for true devotion is inner purification. Why? Because our love has to transcend from each state. It is neither wrong or not right. We all begin at the lowest level of love. So, without a pure heart and a clear mind, the devotion cannot reach its highest transcendental state. So, what is this transcendence that is happening in us? Compare love versus lust, because Narada Bhakti Sutras talks about this lust, and we misunderstand lust as a sexual desire. But the meaning of lust is selfish desire. When you have lust, you seek to fulfill your own wants, your own cravings, your narrow views. You are demanding. That is the state of lust. Lust really means it is a selfish desire towards the Lord. Whereas in love, the bhakti, it is selfless. It emanates from a tranquil heart. The heart is very calm and it sees itself as divine. and thereby it is able to transcend this lust, the feeling of all desires. So a pure mind is like a mirror, and it reflects the Lord effortlessly. But when the mind is clouded by selfishness, fear, impurity, devotion cannot manifest. So that is why beautifully our masters have designed the practice. We have to admire that. The reason our masters are making us understand all these things now, whether it be the Bhagavad Gita or the Vedas or the Upanishads or Ashtavakra Gita, it is to understand the value of the path that we are on, which has everything in it. So, coming to the point, the true devotion arises from simple, pure, childlike mind, which is clear, direct, and it is not burdened with any complications in the heart. That is why we remove the impurities and complications, complexities. In our prayer, it says, impurities and complexities are leaving from the back. Because impurities and complexities block the growth of devotion and prevent it from remaining in that state. Impurities and complexities, they block the growth and they prevent from for the bhakti to blossom in the heart. That is why bhakti is actually described as it is a royal road to the divine, and it is the highest consciousness. It is a pathway to divine, a royal pathway to the divine and to the highest consciousness. And in the goal is to arrive at that what is known as parabhakti, supreme bhakti. So the ultimate goal of devotion is to arrive at that supreme state of love where we transcend the dualities and we merge in him. In the state of parabhakti, in the supreme love, we realize that divine resides entirely within. That is when our attachment to the physical form drops. Until then, we go to the temples and churches and the physical masters, and all this drama goes on. And when this parabhakti state develops in us, we truly start to feel him inside us. We know he resides in us. Nobody needs to tell us that. There is no doubt in that situation. That is the state of parabhakti. So the need for external forms of worship, it fades when we experience the Lord within. When you feel the Master is within you, everything outside drops. So the ordinary forms of worship, they gradually mature into this supreme form of devotion. So how does this devotion blossom in a being? Only through sadhana, constant practice. Because the greatest treasures of love, like Babuji says in the Whispers, they are hidden in the heart. And what is hidden in the heart can be revealed only with purification, continuous purification and efforts. So how do we develop this bhakti? What can we do to enhance, to transcend from our lower level of lust to higher level of supreme love of parabhakti? First, we need to learn to serve selflessly. Because when we serve selflessly, the karma, the action purifies the heart and it lifts the mind and it prepares the field of devotion. And second thing our master has to always say, satsang, holy company. Lalaji Maharaj puts it as maintain friendships with those whose hearts are brimming with love for him. Otherwise, why is that the masters sometimes they cannot attend these hyper hyped up social gatherings? Is it affects the inner vibratory field so deeply, your thought gets disturbed. That is why, they're correcting us, don't go through that internet so much. Don't look at that Instagram so much. It is diverting our thought, making us feel everybody else in this world is having such a beautiful time and we are left out. That is the illusion. That is the Maya. So we have to associate our thoughts and actions and our field with in the company of the holiness. We have to strive for it. Associating with the holy by reading, by listening to spiritual talks, and being in the company of true lovers, it nourishes the tendency of bhakti. And next, you meditate. You meditate on Him and keep the road of your life clean. And we practice what the Gita says, that every action you offer it to the divine, and then it becomes a true form of karma yoga. It transforms our work into worship when we perform it in remembrance, says Babaji Maharaj. And Lord Krishna in this Bhagavad Gita chapter describes the qualities of a devotee. He says you have to have divine virtues and reflect your inner state of pure love. That is why Daji says, like, when you have the condition, people are drawn to you. You live your life in such a way with piety that others are attracted to you. These are the guidance given by our masters. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, be free from hatred, envy, ego, selfishness. These things block us. Like the fire, if you hold it, it burns you before it burns others. Same thing with hatred, envy, ego, and selfishness. Before it can hurt others, it will only hurt us. So if we are aware of it, we strive for not to do those things. And another important aspect that is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, which I also lack and I try my best to do, is being a friend to all and forgiving and have no resentment. It is difficult. It is not an easy attribute to develop. But that's what Lord says is friendliness. And if you observe Daji, you observe that in such a immense way of his friendliness to everybody. And another important quality that a devotee would have is the balance. This hyper energy does not keep the vibratory field in the state of devotion. So calm, equanimous, and balance. The next one that Lord Krishna talks about is contentment. You have to be contented with yourself, and you have to have self-control, and you have to surrender. And when we have all this, there is great strength of will in us. And in a devotee, there is this unwavering faith. And this also Master talks about, that when people come to you, they feel peace. They don't feel fear or agitation. They're not scared. There is peace. Because that's what a devotee radiates. Devotee radiates love. So all these things, when we are coming to awareness, we have to strive and practice them and try to be aware of it. That because when we go to Master, why do we go? We feel loved. That is why we stand in that line for one glimpse. So many people stood in line to receive one book from the Master. Why? Did they really, can't they go buy the book? It is for the glance of the Master. In that glance, love is radiated, peace is radiated, and your soul is filled with joy. And another quality that Lord Krishna describes is your inner state of equanimity has to be such that you are not disturbed by the world, nor is the world disturbed by you. Because some people walk in and immediately there is hyper energy and like the way they talk, the way they act, it creates insecurity, creates that is not a bhakta. When a bhakta enters, there is no disturbance in the other heart, nor he is disturbed by the outside world. So we are a devotee is free of attachments and false expectations and sensory distractions. It goes on. He goes on. Lord Krishna goes on this. And also, he doesn't seek praise or is disturbed by blame. This we have to work on. We all look for praise. We all get disturbed when somebody blames us. There is no exception. And Lord Krishna is saying that in that if you are true devotee, you don't expect praise, or when somebody criticizes you, you don't get disturbed. So we have something that we have to work on. We're all here on this earth plane. It's karma bhumi. We came to go through our karma. We came to work upon ourselves. We keep making the efforts like churning the butter. And we should not be discouraged that the butter hasn't appeared. One fine moment it will appear. So that is why masters created the method. So you keep on doing the method. You observe your weaknesses. You put them in front of him. And one moment it is gone. And when that moment it is gone, true devotion manifests in the heart. So anybody ignores you, respects you, your equanimity, your steadiness does not get disturbed. You are content with every little thing. And in such a heart, he says, I reside. Because the Lord has to feel that this heart is a true home for me to reside. I remember once I shared when I was having such negative thoughts and I heard a very stern voice of Daji saying, Uma, and I jumped out of my chair. And when I introspected, I was having such negative thoughts. Then I realized, how can my master stay in such a heart that is negative thinking? When master's physical form comes, you clean the physical house. When every morning the master's essence is transmitted to us when we are offering the prayer, how should we keep our heart? How can he enter that heart where there is impurity, there is hatred, there is jealousy, there is selfishness, there is lust? His presence enters a heart that is filled with love and devotion. That is why Babaji Maharaj gave that maxim, offer prayer with heart filled with love and devotion. If we don't have it, just suggest, my heart is filled with love and devotion. I am entering my sacred heart. You are everything, I am nothing. What all my goal is you. Lord, help me. Lord, please enter my heart. So, the state of supreme devotion is when the mind it rises to such high levels of consciousness that true devotion unfolds naturally, because devotion is inside, and when that is awakened, it unfolds and it manifests the entire being. And such a devotee, Lord Krishna says, is fulfilled. He needs no external validation or company. He has surrendered everything at the Lord's feet. And he declares, such a devotee who is free of hatred and selfishness and who is balanced, the sthita prajna, in joy and sorrow, content, and who is ever united with me, he is the one that is dear to me. This is what the Lord says. So, having some thoughts on the bhakti concept, let us hear what Sri Vinobha Bhave has to say. Page 315. Bhakti means service without any sense of I. So Vinobha Bhave is always, he gives good, clear thoughts, right thoughts to understand the concepts. So bhakti has no I in it. The Gita wants every action to be imbued with devotion. It is good to worship the Lord for half an hour. It is worthwhile to study the mind and meditate on the absolute, forgetting the ordinary worldly affairs for a while. At the time of sunrise and sunset, when the splendor of sunshine is particularly appealing. See, that is why Daji fell in love with this book. He's practically prescribing morning meditation and evening cleaning just for half an hour. During that half an hour, take time to be one with Him. You have the rest 23 hours to indulge in everything in the world. Such good habits must, of course, not be given up. But the Gita is not satisfied with this much only. It wants that all the activities that we do throughout the day should be done in the spirit of worship. So, how do we do? Constant remembrance. What does Daji say? Connect yourself. While doing everything, be it bathing, dining, sweeping, we should have the Lord in mind. For instance, while sweeping, we should feel that we are sweeping the Lord's courtyard. All our actions should thus become acts of worship. Let this spirit be ingrained in you, and then you could see how your behavior changes. When we collect flowers for worship, we choose them carefully, put them delicately in the basket, see that they are not crumpled and remain fresh, and do not even smell them. Let all the activities in life be informed with this spirit. While sweeping the village roads, I should feel that I am serving the Lord in the form of my neighbors. The Gita wishes to imprint this attitude on us. It wants all the actions to become acts of worship. Worshipping for half an hour or so does not satisfy it. The holy text yearns to see the whole life charged with the divine presence, with the spirit of worship. By teaching Purushottama Yoga, the Gita is bringing the life of action to fulfillment. What is Purushottama Yoga? That the Lord is the master, I am his servant. And this creation is the means for worship. Once this is realized, what else is needed? Once you realize he is everything, you are nothing. As long as you are on this earth plane, every action of yours is a service, which is worship. Once this is realized, what else is needed? Tukaram says, when I meet you face to face, I shall devote myself to your service. I do not need anything more. Then there will be never-ending service. Nothing like I will exist. The sense of I and mine will be completely erased. Everything will be for the Lord. There would be nothing else except wearing ourselves away for the good of others. The Gita is exhorting us repeatedly to remove the sense of I and live a life devoted to the divine, imbued with the life with devotion. The Lord is the master, I am the servant, and the creation is the means for service. And there is then no question of getting encumbered with anything else. Life will then be free of any worries. The mark of knowledge, seeing the Lord everywhere. Till now, we have seen the devotion should be combined with action. But it is also necessary to have self-knowledge fused with them. This is what Taji has been teaching us from day one. He is imbuing with us with knowledge, encouraging us to read, understand. And now that we have the knowledge, We are able to value what is being given to us. It is like you give gold to a child and it doesn't know what it is and it throws it in the toy box. That is how we have been treating the heartfulness method. Now we know, oh my God, this is gold. It doesn't belong in the toy box. It is precious. The Gita is not otherwise satisfied. This does not mean that these three things are distinct from each other. What three things? Karma, bhakti, jnana, action, devotion, and knowledge. We use different terms for them for the sake of convenience only. Action and devotion are one and the same. There is thus no question of combining devotion with action. The same is true with knowledge. How can we have knowledge? The Gita says you will have it when you see the Lord everywhere. The eternal servant is the Lord, the recipient of the service. The Lord, the Purushottam, is also the male principle, the Purusha, and the creation which flows continuously, takes different forms and provides different forms of worship. That is also the Lord Purusha. All are different forms of this nature only. What does this outlook imply? It implies an attitude of perfect and flawless service to all. Because if the master is in everybody, we are to see the master in everybody. We treat everybody like the master. If your sandals squeak, oil them, keep them in good condition. The Lord is present in them too. The spinning wheel is a means of service. Lubricate it regularly. Otherwise, it will refuse to let you spin. It too is the Lord. It should be kept neat and clean and in working order. The whole creation should be seen as full of consciousness. Do not look upon it as inert. Nothing is inert, nothing is devoid of His presence. The spinning wheel that hums melodiously is not inert, it is the Lord's image. On the Polas Day, it is a festival in Maharashtra. We worship the bullocks, shedding our pride. This is not an ordinary thing. In fact, we should always have the spirit of this Pola in mind while taking due work from them. It should not be restricted to a single day. A bullock too is a form of Lord. We should also take due care of the plough and the agricultural implements. All the means of service are sacred. How grand this vision is. Worship does not mean offering flowers, etc., to the image of the Lord. Keeping anything neat and clean and tidy is its worship, be it a lamp or a door hinge. The means of worship should be spotless and faultless. Divine consciousness pervades everything. When we have this vision, knowledge will enter into our karma, action. First, bhakti, devotion was infused with action, and now knowledge too is poured into it, forming the divine elixir of life. The Gita has finally brought us to the path of service that is full of non duality. There are three forms of Purusha, Lord, in the whole of creation, and it is the Purushottam who takes all these forms. These three together constitute one single Purusha. Nowhere is there any duality, any distinction. This is the pinnacle of spirituality, where the Gita has brought us. Here, karma, action, bhakti, devotion, and jnana, knowledge, fuse together and become one. Jiva, the lower self, Shiva, the absolute or the supreme self, and the creation become one. There is then no conflict, no contradiction between karma, bhakti, and jnana. We will stop here and we will continue.